Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. This is the BAG Show, and I am your host, Luana Parker. And today we have a very special guest. Before I introduce her, just want to remind you that this show is all about you, the writer, the author, those who are thinking about writing, who have written, or would like some help in writing. This show is for you so that some weeks we share tips on how to do things, and other weeks we introduce authors who should come on and share why they wrote their book. And today I am so pleased because I have a very special guest, and please, you're going to have to give her a very well round of applause because she really is a special lady. Our guest today is none other than Maureen Stephenson, who has just written a book called The Runaway. I have it correct?
Yeah, it's called The Runaway. Run to heal it and finish life strong.
Great. Welcome to the program. We're so glad to have you on here. And before we get started, let's talk a little bit about who you are. Tell us some things about who Maureen is.
Hmm. Oh my God. I'm Maureen Stephenson Lewis. Um, I I know people introduce their company. Right? I'm not the founder of my company. The company is the founder of me. So I always crawl, walk, run, fitness found me. And so that's who my founder is because that's not the other way around. Because without those process, I don't think I would actually be here talking to you today. But because I was able to, you know, take my wealth from a crawling stage first, and then I started to walk, and then I want to say I'm at the running stage now, but that's debatable. Right? So that's a little bit about the company. I wanted to be when I thought about a name, I wanted something to reflect my journey, and so I wanted to be honest, and I wanted also to be tied to my process, and that was the process that I took to get back. I would say a little bit into health. So yeah, so crawl, walk, run, fitness found me. So, and but yeah, and I'm a holistic health coach, menopausal coach, and I'm also a gut health coach. I help women to um, tap into the beautiful so transformation can happen. So that's
Well,
yeah.
I attended one of your events called the Table of Six, and I absolutely love it. I'm going to ask you some questions about that later on. But for now, let's talk a little bit about why did you write this book and why now?
Ah, why now?
Uh-huh.
Because there's no better time than now.
I thought you were going to tell me, well, if not now, when?
You know what? I realize that we're waiting every time for the perfect time. And there's
Mhm.
no actual perfect time. You just got to just start, jump into it, and just do it. So there's no better time than now. But I wrote the book as a health and wellness coach that I wanted to be transparent about my journey and why I believe in health and wellness. Why I wanted to help women tap into who they are. And so before I could do that, I believe I myself had to tap in and heal, those broken parts. So, I mean, it's a continual journey, and I don't want anybody to think that, okay, I'm here. It's a work that I do daily, but I wanted to start the work. I wanted to make sure that I was a little bit okay with myself, you
Well, I think you are probably the most okay person that I
know.
know of with themselves.
Yeah.
So, uh, tell us a little bit about um, some of the things that you had to go through that brought you to this point of writing this book. I know some of the medical history of that, some of the medical things that you've gone through, and I have to say, I think you are so courageous because most of us, when we heard the kind of news that you heard, we would probably crawl up in the shell and just start feeling sorry for ourselves. But that's not the position you took.
Um, so the intro of my book, and I want to kind of read the intro for my book. So, because if I read the intro, I think um, your audience can probably get a little bit of sense of who I am. So, the introduction of the book is called The Runaway. Introduction. My name is Maureen Stephenson Lewis, admitting that I hit rock bottom in my younger adult years and went through an internal battle from 1992 to 2002 is so freeing to me. I faced the tough battle of being abused. I am a living, crawling, walking, running miracle that God can deliver you. If you can walk out of any situation, if you only remain quiet and listen to his instruction, but not just listen, but take action. So it talks about my being abused as a young adult, and how today, when I see a lot of women and I ask them, "How are you doing?" and they said, "I'm fine," and we always stand on the surface of being fine, and we never get to the deeper surface of not being fine. So I wanted to, with my own life, I've lived the life for so many years that I wanted to be well. I wanted to think about that my sickness isn't about my sickness, but what makes me sick. Some of the things that makes me sick, and trauma is in your bones, it's in your body, it goes in through words that people tells you that we internalize and start believing them about ourselves. And then on top of that, you have physical abuse to it. And so that's kind of why I wrote the book, because I want women to see that I survived, and if I can survive, I think they too can survive if they're just willing to do the hard work.
And what made you come to that type of conclusion that um, it was hard trauma and whatnot that gets into the bone that you feel helped to cause your your medical problem?
Um, because I could still feel it in my body. Like there are times when I could still feel the pain like it was yesterday. Like, and I'm not talking about emotional pain now, but like physically, like when I used to when I got when I got married to my husband now, he used to pick me up in the nighttime and shake me and says, Maureen, Maureen, you're only dreaming. It's just a dream.
Mhm.
And so he used to like shout all those things in my dream. And then he used to tell me like what I was dreaming about. And so I realized that if I wanted to get rid of that and it doesn't let my past spoils my today, then I would have to go deep and then dealt with those things, because they were left undealt with. That's why they were surfacing. And then he would like to always have to wake me up out of these sweats and telling me what I was doing, and then telling me that he's here now and he's going to be okay. But I didn't want to put that burden on him. I want that burden was my burden that I bring into this new relationship, right? And so I wanted to address that so that my body could be free from that and also he could be free from that. So that was one thing. And then the other thing is that my daughter was starting to ask questions, and then she was starting to date, and I want her to talk to her, but not just to talk to her about you got to do this or you got to do that, but to have some context behind what I was talking to her about, and let her know that I'm not necessarily an expert, but I'm more experienced and I've went through some battles, so that I can draw a reference to it, so that she'll be more inclined to listen to me, and also not to think that hear from someone else and think that I am an hypocrite. So I wanted to, to my core family, that was my husband and my daughter. I wanted them to I wanted them to know what I've been through, and I wanted them to hear from me. And I wanted to them to know that, because most of the time my daughter would be like, "You're too overprotected. You're too overprotected. I'm this and I'm that." And it's just necessarily wasn't about overprotectiveness. It was, and I have to realize also that I can't shield my daughter from those things, but I also can give her a little bit of context and a little bit of education, to help her to navigate that if that ever comes into her way, so she can be able to navigate it better than how I did at that time.
Mm. Well, it's amazing that you were willing to share that type of information with her because too many times I think we as parents uh, don't want our children to know about some of the bad things that we may have gone through. And so we don't share that information with them. And then they end up having to go out there and experience some of it themselves. When, as you say, you can't shield them from everything, but you can kind of prepare them to know what to be on the watch for. So I commend you on doing that with your daughter. Um, wow. So you recognize that what you were going through was played a major part in your health.
Yeah.
And at some point, you decided, well, now that I know what the cause of it is, what do I need to do to change that? And you came up with changing your eating habits.
Um,
Why eating habits? Why?
well,
And you think that would make a difference because when we hear cancer, we think that's it. There's nothing I can do. But you proved them wrong.
I wanted to say before cancer, that's what I was telling you. Like, if you anybody is listening to me, if you don't take anything from this, just know that your body send you messages. But I think if we are too busy and don't hear those messages, then a lot of things can happen. You have to take action. It's not just about hearing the message, hearing what your body is saying, but taking actions. Before my diagnosis with cancer, I felt I was sick, like really, really sick. Um, and when I went to the doctor, she diagnosed me with perimenopausal syndromes. I have night sweats. I have bad moods. I couldn't take crowds. Those were my enemies. And I couldn't, I just was miserable in my body. I would go home in a fetal position and put the sheet over my head and just stay there. And I remember when I was walking out of the doctor's office and I was like, man, I can't take these pills. And when I came home and she prescribed the medication, Um, and she prescribed it, and I came home and I got cured again because of the side effect.
Mhm.
And I then decided that I was going to enroll in a physical education, program at ARC. And I went to American River College and enrolled in there. And there I started to learn about macronutrients and how to eat and carbs, all of those things, your proteins, good carbs and stuff. And then the bug started to change, and when my coach, I started to do physical exam or go on the field, and I started to walk and I started to run. And the first time I ran to get into his class, I remember, Lord, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. And I wanted to vomit because when I finished, the vomit was just right here coming up, and I was like, I wanted to die. I couldn't endure. But that one thing changed my life. And then during the program, out of nowhere, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. Like, because it was just that I keep restless in my spirit. I was restless. And I'm like, man, I didn't do my mammogram. I didn't do my mammogram, but I was restless. And
Mhm.
then when I went to do my mammogram, they found it in from nowhere, right? And so I have to stop the program and then concentrate and getting well. But you know what? And so I think sometimes when we think about our footsteps, God walked me through for me to actually have a taste of the program and to know that to start look at eating and look at my body and my lifestyle differently. So then I started to research holistic practice that I could help to not take medication, but that's my impact. And then it became I started little by little, just changing little things. And so that really worked for me.
Mm. Well, uh, I don't know what to say on that because I just think that for you to come up with that, that's just, as I say, that's nothing short of a miracle. But then we do know that the Lord, and I'm not trying to be preaching religion on anyone, just happens that I believe this, that He gives us assignments, things that we have to experience so that we can help others. And obviously, He gave you an assignment and you fulfilled it because
Well,
as I say, you could have rolled up and said, "Oh no, I got this, and my life is over." But you ran with it.
well, I don't.
Get out of here!
I don't know if I run with it. I know I crawled with it, and then I walk with it, and then I'm at this stage where I have gone through some certification program and now become a holistic health and wellness coach. I also become a movement coach, and I a life enrichment coach where I help people to enrich their life and not just to look at health from okay physically losing weight, but there's so much emotional weight that weigh us down that make us get to the physical, and then your body is your body. Your body is going to change over time. You can't do nothing about that. What you need, what I think can help you to change is your mind. It's your mind. The body is the body, but the mind is what leads the body. So if you attach your body to your mind, anywhere the mind goes, the body has to go. So I kind of learned that my body is going to change. There's nothing I can do about that. But one thing I can do, I can empower my mind to have a great mindset because that's where everything comes in. If you looked at the research, They will tell you that if you're going through a diagnosis, what is going to make the difference is your mindset. You know, how you look at it, how your mindset is going to take you there. So I always tell you, you know, it's all about the mind. You have to shift your mindset little by little so that, you know, freedom can come. You know, like I don't look in the mirror now and look and say, I need to lose weight. I don't, because today my body is going to change. Tomorrow it might change. But what is changed is the wisdom to know the difference that I have a 52-year-old body and I can't eat 25-year-old nutrition for it.
Well, the I believe the mindset part definitely because I felt that's what happened with my husband when he was told that he has 6 months, maybe a year if he was lucky. The first time he was told he had cancer, and he felt so strongly that they were wrong that he just told me, he said, "To the man who still tells me that my time is up, I don't accept what you have to say." And I believe because he believes so strongly in that that's why the Lord gave him an extra 11 years to live. Uh, he could have just given in when they said that, and it would have been all over. He could have said, "Well, I'm not taking any treatments. What good is it going to do? You told me I only have a few months left." But he chose not to go that route. And so when I hear you talking about things like that, I know how truthful it is because I believe it's all up here. You have to make those decisions, and you obviously chose that you were going to fight what was going on. You weren't going to accept it, and you did your research. And
Yeah. Also, too, a great thing is research. You have to do your research, and you have to get your doctor in as a partner. But you have to get someone who believe in what you believe in, because even throughout my diagnosis and my doctor, they knew that what I believed in. So they would help me to find holistic alternative or suggestion to say that, you know, to and I promise you that I would hold myself accountable to go do exercise. So I always tell, you know, anybody says me out there, I said, I am taking my pill. Then they were like, what? Yeah, because my exercise are my pill. My pills that I chose not to take, but I chose to do exercise every day or every 3 times per day. So that's my pill. That's my medicine. So you have to decide what medicine is right for you, and only you can decide that for your body. But I know that that's a path that I chose, and so when people see me out there and see like, I don't have to wait on someone to come and do exercise for me, just because nobody's going to take my pill for me, right? Because my pill is only prescribed for me, and the doctor says don't take each other pill. So I know that this is my medicine. This is what keeps me alive, and this is what keeps me vibrant. So I do it from that perspective, and that is where your mind shifting have to come in. You have to shift your mind to determine your own outcome. How do you want to feel? Like I don't believe in growing whole, and I believe in getting younger while I grow older. So
totally agree with you.
I,
Well, girl, you were lucky or blessed, I should say, because you had doctors who were willing to work with you, to listen
well,
with you and partner with you on what you were trying to do. They didn't just say, "Well, no, you got to follow this, you got to do this in order for this to work." They were willing to help you.
if I
And
get that doctor, then I change them.
yeah,
If I get that doctor, then I change them, because I ultimately know that at the end of the day, what am I going to stick to? If I'm going, and then I think you have to be honest. You have to know your lifestyle. Some people would say, okay, I'm going to, I'm going to, I'm going to go eat kale, and you know that you never eat kale before. You're not going to stick to kale. You have to go be. Be graceful to yourself. Be compassionate with yourself. To know what you can handle and start small. So many people, so many of us want to sprint, and we never even start walking. You have to get your muscles up. You know, in my yeah, in the first chapter of the book, I says, I looked at it from a baby stage. When you have a baby and you see the baby crawling, right? And then the baby gets up and his foot wobble and it falls back down. And then it takes tiny steps, right? And then after that, baby start walking because the muscle gets stronger, right? And it decides to walk. And then the next stage is that the muscle gets stronger and the baby start to run. Then you can't catch the baby again. He's like, and that, run you all over the place. And that's how I thought about my health. And I'm like, I am going to make my muscle catch up, my brain catch up with my body and know what I'm doing it with it. But then I'm going to implore this thing called grace. Grace and be grateful and have grace for your body also. Not to beat it up, but to make peace with it. So I find that when I did that, I became a happier person. I became someone who is happier, that can laugh at my own self and laugh at my own imperfections. And so that is how I want to finish whatever that is for me here, to finish my life going out on a bang. I don't I don't subscribe to there ache and pains. Yeah, I get up every morning and I have ache and pains. Yes, but they're there. But what are you doing to let yourself be vibrant? How are you resting? How are you eating? How are you the company you keep? Those are those that become a lifestyle. Because I remember when I used to have friends who like, okay, know that I'm trying to lose weight, but then they're bringing me to a KFC restaurant. You don't like me. Now I know that you don't like me. You're sabotaging me. You're not my friend. My friend would be like, Mo, well, I'm seeing you doing this thing. Let me come and talk with you, right? And those are the kind of friends that I know that I don't have to keep because my mindset is changed, right? And my friends are putting me in a direction where I wanted to go. So diet is about also that. Diet is about the friends you keep. It's not just about food that you put in your mouth. Yes, that's part of it, but it's your whole being, your whole person.
Well, we're coming to the close of the show, but there are a couple of things I wanted to say. One, I thought that was really brave of you to tell your family don't come around you if they're gonna have long faces.
No, I did. Like I just told them, like, and if you're going to be sorry for me, then you're not going to be part of my circle because if you are scared, then I am scared. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, and
But if you
you
give
didn't
me
need that.
if
So
you give me
that
this,
was a very good thing to
and then
be able to do.
you're gonna put my immune system out, and then next cancer, their immune system is already low, and you don't want any low ballers around you. You want people who can strengthen you with their words, with their kindness, and with their deeds. And
Absolutely,
yeah, so
absolutely. So, before we go, briefly give us some information about your table of six, and when do you think you might be able to start that again? I mean, I
well,
understand why it's not on Zoom because you prepare the food.
yeah, so Zoom would take away, I think, what I wanted, what I really wanted, because I want bonding, and
Mhm.
it was about bonding, community, and the time to relax and de-stress. and I don't think that I can give it that field on a Zoom, so I did not resume it there because, and so I'm hoping that as soon as the governor gave us the green light to have people back home in their own setting, I will start back with Table of Six. But I'm also starting my program, which I'm releasing for my birthday, which is called The Biggest Gainer. And it's totally about not losing. There's nothing when you start taking care of yourself to lose, but everything to gain. And it's about time we stop losing and start gaining some stuff. So that is out currently taking reservations. And also does this crazy thing for my birthday where I we're going to do a fashion show. And it's a hard healthy fashion show that I did last year. And we're going to do it again Zoom style this year because we can still it's a time to dress up. There's so much
Well,
despair out in the
make sure you send
world.
us information so we can
Yeah,
share it with the
so,
audience as well.
yeah, so
About
that is
the
coming
program.
up. So thank you for having me and your guest on.
Oh, you're welcome. Listen, hold your book up once more for the audience to see. Her
So
book is called The Runaway, and
the
I
book is
I
called The
strongly
Runway,
encourage
Run to
you.
Win and Finish Life Strong. And it's on here on the back, it's at crawlwalkrunfitness.com. You can find the book there, and you can buy there my autograph. We can send it to you by mail. So
Okay.
there's no excuse for you not to get a copy.
Curiosity, do you have it on Amazon?
I do have it on Amazon, but why buy it from Amazon when you can get a handwritten copy, and I give you
The
some
signed copy
inspiration.
is always
A
best.
signed copy, but I also go a little further where I give you some great inspirations on my signing. I just don't sign it alone. I kind of personalize it to you. So it's also on Amazon. But yeah, run to Ealing so we can finish life strong. You can find me at Facebook. My page is walkorunfitness.com and the group is called Finish Life Strong. So yes.
Okay, make sure you give us all that information so I can post it at the time that I put the video up. Okay, so that anyone who may have missed it when you were saying it can read it and be able to get in contact with you.
And just a shout out before I go. Thank you, Lawana, for having me. And
Thank you for being here.
if you're thinking about writing a book, go ahead and do it. You have
Absolutely.
read a lot of books that you don't know the author. Now that you can read your own book, it's time for us to liberate ourselves and to know that we have the answers. You have the answers. Nobody else have the answers. And someone out there is looking for what you offer. So go and write that book and be your
Thank
own
you.
author.
That's one of my favorite sins each week. Each one of us has a book in ourselves, and there's somebody waiting to read that book. So
Yeah,
yes,
there are.
please go ahead and write that book. And again, to remind you that this is the BAG show, and we hope you'll join us again next week. Uh, we have new guests that will be joining us, and as always, stay strong and keep the faith.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for your guest, for whoever is going to watch. Thank you so very much. I am so humble and grateful. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you for coming.
Bye bye.
Bye.